Time to do some sketchy shit. Doo-dah, doo-dah. Hope I get away with it. Oh, the doo-dah day.
Oh dear. I just saw the topic for Cryptid Crunch tomorrow night featuring Joe Dog as a guest star. This is going to be epic. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Last Man Standing. I'm Dan Hollifield. Be glad you're not. And Stupid O'Clock tonight was majorly epic in absolute silliness and okay, so in the content, but the silliness was right on up there with Olympic quality right there. Let's see if we can continue on from that admittedly hard to surpass standard. We've got Joe Bachman with us tonight. We got Rich, although he's out of the room, and we got Aunt Donna here. And if anybody else shows up, and there's Rich. And hey, everybody got to go sometime.
I promise not to start off your show like I did the other one by sanding my wood.
I can barely hear you, Joe.
Do what you gotta do.
I said I promise not to start off your show like I did the other one by sanding my wood.
That's okay. Just don't polish it.
Oh, no, that's hold on.
That's step 3.
That's what's being done right now.
That's the only fan show.
No, Dan, you must have missed what Willow said at the beginning of Stupid O'Clock when she announced that Joe was going to be on 50.
Oh, no. I knew that Joe was going to be on, but I just saw the topic. And I'm sorry, Aunt Donna, you've got your headset on backwards again.
Oh, fuck. How's that?
There you go.
That's better. I can hear your lovely voice now.
Yeah, it's about ghost hunting and something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe Dog used to do the
Ghost hunting.
a serious, non scripted reality show kind of ghost hunting. And you can imagine his disappointment at
Joe
where
Dog serious?
Joe Dog serious about. Wrap your mind around that. I mean, before we go to the next to after the comma, wrap your mind around Joe Dog being serious. Let me know. We can wait. It may take a while.
That's gonna
just
take
like,
too long. We better go. We better go ahead.
It took me a couple of months.
There's not
Believe
enough
me.
booze. Yeah.
Yeah, but when he viewed what else others in the ghost hunting field were doing, which could be charitably described as not quite so reality TV, he eventually
The
gave
old
it up in
spiritualist.
disgust. Yeah, it was pretty much. Oh, did you hear that sound? No. Okay, we'll insert it in post-op. I mean,
there's knocking over there. Whatever could that knocking be?
yeah, some ghost grabbed my butt.
I
No,
still like
that wasn't a ghost. That was Bob.
I still like ghost
pick
hunters.
Pick the camera up and quit grabbing the ladies.
Because they give you the history of the place where they're in, which I find interesting. And I love to hear Steve squeal like a little girl when he comes across the spider.
There was a Chicago ghost hunter organization run by off-duty cops that was on A&E for a season. It's on like Hulu that Misty and I enjoyed the first couple of episodes, and we just haven't had a chance to sit down and watch any more of it. Unfortunately, it was only a season, but it was nice seeing it from a police perspective because, of course, they're gathering evidence, they're sealing doors. So it was nice to see that kind of take.
Well, imagine Joe Dog's amount of fanaticism about everything else that he does, directed to serious investigation.
And then somebody like Ghost Adventurers come along.
He was so disgusted when it just became this entertainment TV rather than what he was doing, which had nothing to do with being broadcast on TV.
He wanted it to be more like edutainment. But again, did they record their stuff so that they could show local people?
It was recorded, yes, and Joe Dog's idea was to have it be more like Natural Geographic or
edutainment.
Jacques Cousteau. Yeah. I mean,
so
serious.
Yeah, well, okay, in the training
and then
world,
everybody else went,
edutainment.
Oh, hey, we can sell soap with this.
We're wanting it to be educational, but we're wanting to put in some type of entertainment value as well, so people get drawn in and want to watch. So kind of where we're sneaking the veggies in the mac and cheese, if you will. It's something we do a lot. And it's one of the reasons I'm such a smart ass on camera.
Mac and cheese is okay with broccoli, yes, once you get used to it.
We used to watch an English show about some ghost hunters, and it was interesting because, like, the two women on the group would scream at every little thing. It's like, if you're that nervous, why are you going on this? And a bunch of stuff happened, and Kyle and I are looking at each other like, okay, do you think they made that up? Well, come to find out, yep. It always happened when the guy, ironically also named Carl, would disappear and not be with the rest of the group. And they caught him making the noise and stuff. It was big blow up at the time.
Yeah. I think that genre was usurped by the people that were more into making money off of it as entertainment than it was with the serious researchers that were trying to go, hey, there's something spooky going on. Let's go see.
Like I say, I like ghost hunters because they'll go to places that they've been to a couple of historical places here in Illinois. They've been to the Willard Library in Terre Haute. Or is that Evansville?
You're talking Sci-Fi Channel Taps Ghost Hunters, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
they came all the way out here? Cool.
Yeah. They,
I thought they stuck around mostly Rhode Island and New York.
Oh no, they've been all over. I think they've been in almost every state in the U.S.
Oh well.
Although I do remember them doing something in Texas because I think they did one at the Alamo, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. But
it's been so long since I had MTV where when they were on and doing a lot of stuff. I can't find their stuff anymore. I really enjoyed that.
What are they
I really like Jason.
I don't remember what channel they are because I love DVRs. You put in what show you want, and then no matter what channel this is, it'll record it.
It'll record it, yeah.
But
especially the multi-channels that'll grab several shows at once. I love those. I miss that.
Yes. They'll show the place where they are. They'll give you the historical background, and I love architecture. And they show pictures of the house and stuff, and I'm like, that's really why I like to watch Ghost Hunters. And I like to hear.
I like it because they're plumbers, and well, at least I think Grant and Jason were. I don't know about any of the others. So they understand. Okay, no, the reason that you're getting this is because you've got copper pipe right here next to this, which is causing this weird vibration type thing going on. The reason this is happening is because you got HVAC vent right there that's kind of blowing down. Because as a contractor, they've got the structural idea, and I really love that because that was a really novel idea at the time for ghost hunters, where a lot of the ghost hunters that I dealt with around here. Yeah. Oh, no, that was definitely a ghost. That was definitely a ghost. That was a train a quarter mile away.
There was one house that they debunked everything. His wiring was not grounded, and it was
not shielded.
Not shielded. He had painting equipment and turpentine and stuff next to the furnace, and the furnace was venting into his bedroom. And they were saying, you're not really seeing your grandma. You're having hallucinations from the vapors from this stuff. It needs to be
moved. And you need
to
go to the doctor to make sure that you're not dealing with some other kind of poisoning.
Really?
Yeah.
This goes far beyond carbon monoxide. This is getting into some serious chemistry.
Literally.
Yeah. But everything that he claimed, they found a physical reason for it to not be a ghost, not be paranormal. And I think that's when I liked him the most.
I'll admit I kind of like Ghost Adventures. And not because I think there's any evidentiary value to it. I just like watching them just hurt themselves because they're such idiots.
I like the one where what's it? Zach's the leader.
Zach Baggins, yes.
Yeah, I was like, there's something in this hole, I got to go in and see if I can get the evidence because there's something paranormal going in this hole. And just as he gets to the hole, this cat flies out and bounces off of him and runs, and he's being like a little girl. But yeah, it wasn't anything paranormal. It was a cat in there.
It's a
Yeah,
paranormal cat, damn it.
He bought a house not too far from our region, and I really wonder what the hell happened. And I guess he did something there, and then I guess they tore it down because they felt it was too.
Yeah, the Hell House in Gary.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Which I wondered at first if they really were coming up here for that, and then I watched that show, and they actually stopped at the sign on I-65, where on one side it says hell is real, and the other side says Jesus is real. So it's like, okay, you guys actually made it to Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he actually bought that house.
Yeah.
Well,
Michaela, you've got the link if you want to join us.
well, on their first live Halloween show, was it Zach's haunted museum that he has
out in Vegas?
Mm-hmm. He had a haunted doll. He says, "We're going to watch this doll do something." Yeah, the doll did something, and I can't exactly remember what, but the cameraman caught Zach, and it was Zach. It wasn't the doll. And I'm like, okay, this is a man doing anything for the almighty buck. Can't believe what he's going to show you.
Yeah, like I said, I don't feel it has any evidentiary value, but I like it when the stuff like the cat happens.
Mm-hmm.
There was a prison yard where they were, "Come at me, ghost! Come at me! Come at me!" And I think one of them tripped over something. And then there's one that they always have go off by himself, and then they cut the lights on him, and he screams like a little girl and stuff like that.
Aaron.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I like about. I mean, here's Steve, this ex-cop, not afraid of anything, and then he comes across the spider and
I'd
bails
scream
so
like
fast.
a bitch too. And then Paranormal State was okay. He didn't make the wisest choices, and I'm still on the fence on how much of his stuff was actually real.
Hey, Michaela.
Hello.
Hello, sister.
Hello.
And I don't know if y'all been catching this, but Doc Travis is doing this thing called Skinwalker Ranch.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I know Doc Travis in person, so
My kids
he's
love
not
that show.
he's not putting up shit.
Oh no.
He's not making anything up. You couldn't pay him enough to do.
You're talking the Hulu show, right? I don't know if it's on any other channels, but I don't know what it's.
I don't know what
something
it's
on Hulu that's Skinwalker Ranch.
I don't
Yeah.
have the faintest idea what it's on, but I know Doc, and he's he would not put up with trying to be directed to be a reality TV show.
There is some weird stuff going on there that
Yeah,
cannot be explained by somebody trying to pull a con.
yeah,
You know what I
it goes
mean?
way
So,
beyond
yeah.
special effects. And believe me, knowing Doc, he won't say anything he doesn't absolutely believe, and he is a rocket scientist. So
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you've got somebody from out in the sticks going, "Oh well, I saw this," and
Yeah.
no, he's going.
Yeah.
I tested this against everything I know how to test, and it was weird. So maybe there's something happening here, but I don't understand. I'm willing to accept that there's parts of physics that I haven't been introduced to yet, but it'd be a brand new thing they just came up with. So
Well, that's like Expedition Bigfoot.
okay,
I think can't think of her name now, but she's an anthropologist who has done most of her work with the great apes, which is why they asked her to be on the show. But they have so much cool science equipment.
wouldn't Jane Goodall, was it?
No, but she got to talk to her
Oh, okay.
on
Well, I
one of the
mean,
shows.
there,
It's a
there's
weird
there's
name.
an expert right there. Yeah. Um, got,
It's a weird name.
not familiar with the show, so I couldn't tell you. But and we don't have
History
John here,
Channel.
so we don't have instant Google. Um,
No, but we got
So
me.
Skinwalker Ranch is on History Channel, and it's also on Hulu.
Okay. I was thinking it was Netflix because my girls love the freaking thing.
There
well,
might be some on Netflix too. I don't have a Netflix account anymore, so I
Well-
logged into my Hulu account to look for it.
Okay. Well, I was looking just online, and I think it said something about Netflix. I didn't see where it said anything about Hulu. But again, like I don't have Hulu, so
Well, there's
Yeah.
a lot of things that are on Hulu and Netflix, but
yes.
and
Mm.
since it's History Channel, because I know Netflix used to have a lot of ancient alien stuff. I don't know if they still have a lot of ancient alien stuff. Hulu has a lot of ancient alien stuff as well. So
yeah.
Okay, her name is Mariah Mayer.
Okay.
Yeah, and she's an anthropologist and primatologist.
Okay. Makes sense. Yes.
Yeah.
She
'Cause
studies
she worked with the great apes,
homonyms and
Hey, she's my age.
hominids
and
and
she's
apes. Yeah.
she's working from the theory that Bigfoot is a type of perhaps great ape rather than a human lost link.
Right.
And
Gigantopithecus, I do believe, is
There's
the
a lot of folks
prominent
that
theory.
think that Bigfoots are some flavor of skunk ape. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Different geography, but
I was gonna say, but that's the thing. It's like the further south they go on these expeditions and stuff, like south as in Georgia, they've found that it's the skunk ape down there, and if they go north, say like Abominable Snowman, no one reports a smell. Down the further south you go, the more they report this thing has a horrible smell.
Well,
Yeah,
that
but
much
we're-
fur and that much heat, it's going to stink.
Bingo.
we're
Like,
hot
yeah.
and humid down here. I mean, seriously.
Right. And up north, you wouldn't get as much moisture in the fur, is what they're saying. It's like it's probably moisture in the fur, which causes a stink or an odor. And like, well, yeah, that's why they call them the
just
skunk
like
ape.
on us.
They would probably also have more of the chance of something like sloths that have moss that
Yes.
grow on them and
Yes,
stuff
that's
like
what I
that.
was
So,
thinking.
Yeah.
And
so
they
some of that foliage,
Right.
especially if it starts to die off and molder and decay,
Right.
it's really going to
Right.
add to the reek to begin with too.
Mhm.
Yep.
But on
with
Expedition
that.
Bigfoot, they have tracked all of America from where the reports are going, and they believe that they're migratory because
Yeah.
they were in the first season. They were in Washington State. Second season, they were in
Ooh, Expedition Bigfoot's on Hulu
Tennessee
too.
area.
Well,
where they almost lost a cameraman who was very embarrassed because it was right out where they were looking was right outside his hometown. It's like they should have known how to walk in these woods.
Yeah.
And then third season they were back in they were in California.
if you can't walk the ridge,
Mhm.
don't brag about being from the ridge.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, one of the Bigfoot hunting shows. I don't remember which one. The one with the really weird guy that's like, "We're going squatching" or whatever the hell his
Oh
catchphrase
yeah.
was.
Yeah, that would definitely turn me off, keep me from watching the show. Yeah.
That show was doing some stuff a few years ago, right around the Indiana Dunes.
Mm.
Oh,
They're doing some
okay.
hunts, which
Well,
isn't far from Joe and I.
yeah. One of the interesting things is, especially in California, if they get a lot of reports of Bigfoot in an area, the the government goes in and buys up that bit of land and then forbids anybody to go on it. Now, why?
Yeah. Why? What difference
My
would it make? You know.
my guess would be a lot of the Bigfoot hunters are complete douchebags.
Oh,
And
that's true.
they're trying to avoid these idiots coming in and tearing up that natural resource, looking for something, whether it exists or not.
Hmm. Well, there are.
That would be my first
And I
guess.
think it's Oklahoma, but there's a couple of states where they have laws on the book saying you can't kill one.
Hmm.
Now
That
tell
would
me
be
you
what.
want this.
Yep. We don't know what it is. We don't know if it's real. But if you kill one, we're going to put you in prison.
Right, right. Don't you dare go kill it, but we don't know what it is, we don't know where it lives, and we don't know anything else about it. Like,
Hmm.
you can't go kill it. What?
Well, that
Hey, it's an endangered species. Obviously.
exactly. I would think that would fall under some type of conservation
It
laws.
probably does, yeah.
Since we don't know that much about it, we don't know how many are left. So
Yeah, don't go killing it.
don't be
please.
stupid.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, and if it is the missing link, that would be killing a human, really.
A cousin, anyway.
Yeah.
Homicide adjacent. Yeah.
And that's one of those things where you've got folks where they're trumping around in the woods with more than you need to get a deer or a bear, and what they want is proof this thing exists so we can get our name in the papers.
Yep.
And
Douchebags.
Yeah.
well, it's not in the spirit of scientific inquiry, but it is in the spirit of the Victorian age big game hunters, which doesn't excuse it. It
Mhm.
merely explains
Brings
it.
it. Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. I love the fact that they're out there, they're unarmed, and they're in the area where, I mean, forget Bigfoot, you've got bears and mountain lions
And lots of other stuff too.
that, and you're totally defensive. There were a
If
couple of times when they're like, hold, don't make a sound until this bear shuffled off.
Mm-hmm.
hmm if I was in that area, it pretty much it would be like walking out my back door and going about 20 yards to where I am in an impenetrable forest or a little arm of an impenetrable forest. And there are bears in there. There are wild boar in there. There are feral dogs in there. There are coyotes in there. There are foxes. There are, you know, foxes are the least thing I've got to worry about. We actually had one walk through the yard, and I go, "Oh, she's so cute," and didn't go out. We got all kinds of stuff that just kind of wanders through. Um, Deer come up and eat my muscadines, especially after they've had time to ferment on the vine, so the deer can get drunk.
Well,
And
yeah,
Hi,
I
Calvin.
mean, seriously,
they're the same thing.
you have never seen anything so hilarious in your life as to see a deer staggering around after spending an hour or two eating fermented wild
Yeah,
grapes.
or a bear.
Oh, I haven't seen a bear yet.
Oh,
I
it's
know that I know they're there because
Hi.
a neighbor of mine had a koi pond, and they went out
Yeah.
one morning and all the fish were gone, but there were bear
shit.
tracks all around the koi pond.
Yeah, see, we have, well, nice folks call them koi ponds. We don't. So anyway, Uncle Mark,
Gigantic, ugly goldfish is what they are.
not really, no. Uncle Mark built a decorative landscape pond thing with the waterfall and everything for Aunt Joe, and made a little patio, and we sit around it in the summertime. Well, because it's got a little waterfall and a couple little pools in it, the rednecks that we are, we thought it'd be a good idea to go get the little bluegill, because there's thousands of these little bluegill.
Oh,
And
bluegill,
normally-
yeah.
Right, normally we would, because they're no bigger than your hand if they're that big sometimes.
Yeah.
And a lot of fun to catch, but not, you can't even fillet them, they're not big enough. But if you throw them back, then you have the problem of overpopulation, and then you have a whole nother slew of problems. So anyway, we
Yeah.
throw them over the bank, right? Which the coons at night will come get them because they live out in the woods. They're in the middle of nowhere. So we'll throw them over the bank, no big deal, right? Well, some of them will flop back in, some of them won't. Well, then we got the bright idea that we'd put them in a live well until we got done fishing. And when we got done, we took them up and we put them in a little decorative pond. Well, this worked for about 2 months. And then the coons figured out that there's a smorgasbord right there.
Uh-huh.
And they are trapped in these little ponds. They can't go anywhere. So the only ones that ever survive are the ones smart enough to go underneath the rock where the coons can't get them.
Yeah, and I've got to disagree with you about not big enough to keep.
I was about to say the same.
If they're anywhere near the size of the palm of your hand, it might take a bunch of them, but you can make a decent meal
We catch them
from
this small.
filleting
Like,
them, and
It's
Yeah,
no different than
that's-
smelts.
in their mouth.
well, that's bait fish size.
Right.
I'm
Right.
talking
So you use them for bait
I'm
fish. or
talking
you throw
palm of
them
your
over the
hand size. Yeah.
Right. But
Yeah,
see, our
the
bluegills,
lake I grew up on, we had huge bluegill.
I was going to say, the bluegills that we keep, they're pan size. Not even hand size. They're pan size.
Yeah.
So when we catch the smaller than pan size, we're like, oh, that's little. Okay. Whoop. Because literally there are thousands, and we had die-off happen last year and 3 years before that because there's so many.
Yeah, they use up all the resources in that
Yeah.
particular part of the water they're in.
Yeah. So every year when we catch the littles, they just go over the shoulder and the coons get a smorgasbord.
Mm.
Yeah, growing up, we had small trees that would die and stuff like that. So we would stick them under my dad's pier in strategic places so that they would have places to come, and then we would basically bait it for crappie and bluegill and
Oh, hell yeah.
smallmouth bass and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, like when we had die off, it really sucked because some of the bigger fish floated, of course, to the surface. They died as well, but they were huge, and we didn't realize that our bass were that big. We're like, oh shit, whoops! Maybe we should be fishing some of them out of there.
Yeah, really. Oh, too bad them didn't bite.
Yeah. I mean, literally, we could have filled the freezer with all the ones that died off. Like, son of a biscuit. We could have had a big old fish fry.
Yeah. Down here, the bluegill are in the smaller streams, but not Well, there probably are some in the larger lakes, but they're uh, elusive.
Hmm.
Um, and you will get pan-sized fish
Mhm.
of various species. It just depends on which lake
Yeah.
and whether or not there are um, farms nearby that will have some um,
Runoff.
fertilizer chemical runoff into it that would negatively impact the population of
Right.
all the fish in it.
Well, and that's kind of what we thought. The one year we thought maybe it was from the fields, but it wasn't. It was just there's so many fish in that damn lake.
Overpopulation, they
Yeah.
out ate their food source.
Yeah, and they really did. And so every year now we know that we have to go fishing at least 3 or 4 times a week and just throw the
Well,
little babies
that's
over.
basic conservation right there.
Oh, I know,
Um,
right? We're just
if
keeping
you
track
if
of
you
things.
if you don't reduce the population between a sustainable level
Yes,
and
that's the
an
thing. Yeah.
unsustainable level,
Hmm.
then you get
Die off.
tragic die-offs.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
it's yeah. When die off happens, it's horrible.
it
Um,
really is. It
well,
really
and that's
is.
just like our deer population. We manage our deer herd. Some guys will go out and they'll just harvest because, well, a deer walked in front of my stand. I'm going to harvest it. We actually population control.
Yeah,
If one year we see that there's not enough does in the herd, okay, well, we're not going to shoot X amount of does or whatever, depending on how many permits we have, how many people are hunting. And that goes up and down as to what our herd looks like.
and
Um,
then you get these idiots that are just they're going to shoot anything that moves.
No,
we
yeah.
we had one guy like that, and we were like, "You're done. We don't do that here. You can go anywhere else you want to go, but not here. That's not what we do."
Yeah, you've already got three cows and a farmer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were
Just because
coming
it
home.
says John Deere on the tractor doesn't mean it's rain
Here,
season.
yeah. Wrong time.
I had a
All
friend who every time we'd go by a construction site and there were deer, John Deere's there, she'd say, "Well, there's deer in their natural habitat."
Well, technically.
No, we were
We
coming home one time, and unfortunately, this was back before cell phones and cameras. And there's this one area north of town that's nothing but cornfield. And as we came across the river, we saw, oh, there's a herd of deer and another herd of deer. And there must have been 400 or 500 deer in one place. I have never seen so many deer
Mhm.
before or since. But that the acres was just filled with them. And they were just kind of standing around and eating what was left of the corn crop because this was in the fall.
Right.
That we figured it must have been a migration, but didn't know they got that big.
We actually had one guy at the factory that noticed that there were deer standing around um, in the back of the company property. Went out to his truck, got his rifle, went back to the back dock, the railroad dock of the warehouse, and got him a good 6-pointer. And the only reason he didn't get fired or arrested was because his older brother was one of the supervisors at the factory.
Of course.
I mean, they tried up and down. The company just wanted, oh, he had a gun at work, and we're going, it's the
The
South.
South.
Mhm.
You've
So do the
got
rest of us.
you've got
We just
gun
haven't
racks
shown it
in
to
the
you.
back windshield of the pickup truck. I mean, seriously.
Yeah, well, that was what Andy and I talk about. Not in his school days or mine, but our parents When they went to school, every kid had a shotgun in the back of the truck.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
And,
like
and teachers would
When
come out and
my
go,
parents
hey,
went to
I've got
school-
this neat rifle. Have you seen this one yet?
right, you'd compare yours with your teachers, but it
Oh,
was
yeah.
a tool, not necessarily a weapon. It was just you lived on a farm, you needed it.
Yeah,
When
it
my
was no
parents went
different.
to
It was no
school,
different from a shovel or a tractor.
Right.
there was a class on guns where you brought your gun to school, safety, cleaning.
Right.
Oh,
There was
yeah.
a rifle range.
Well, see, here in Illinois, to even have possession of one, you must go through the class, and it's called a hunter safety course. You must go through it. You must have your card. You can't even touch one at a gun show without having that card. And Illinois makes you get what's called a FOID card, a firearm owner identification card.
Mm-hmm.
There's only 5 states that make you get one of these things. But in Illinois, first you have to take the hunter safety course, which teaches you all about how to safely handle one.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have to get your FOID card, which goes to the state police. And then you can buy ammunition or a firearm.
Well, they are talking about getting rid of it.
A lot of my friends
I'm doing good.
back in the day that are gun owners and gun enthusiasts like to call Illinois Illinois.
Pretty much.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yep.
Especially when you get to Chicago, because Chicago is a lot tighter than the rest of the state.
We have all these rules in place, and these permits are supposed to be, like me, I go through all the channels and I get all the permits that I need, and I do it properly because that's what you're supposed to do. But people that are, causing the problems, will say they're not going through the channel. They're not going to
of course not. Of course not.
Right. Let me spend $250 to get the proper permits. No.
So Dan told his story about shooting a deer. Ironworkers Union has a nice little building on the east edge of Danville. Not exactly in the country, but just on the edge, And they had a deer in their backyard. And somebody shot it. And then wondered why it didn't fall down.
Oh, no.
It was a cast iron statue.
For God's sakes.
Oh, Lord.
We do have people around here that have concrete.
Yeah. The concrete deer statue
of deer in their yard in artistic arrangements, and they regularly have to go out and paint over the bullet holes that have been blasted into the sides of the concrete. And I'm going, dude, just get on the Atlanta highway and drive fast. You'll hit one and don't even have to waste any ammunition.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you drive to South Georgia on some of the rural roads, you will hit some, especially if it's at night and you got your lights on.
It's any part of Georgia, actually, as long as you get away from the city lights.
Yeah.
And and not to say there are not some wild animals inside the cities. Yeah. I've been on the University of Georgia campus and seen a coyote hop out of a Dempsey dumpster at a dorm building on the University of Georgia campus.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going, okay, we're driving you right up to the entrance of your dorm. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Georgia was a land grant college, so there's plenty of acreage.
Yeah, especially in the agricultural part of the college.
Well,
they have a lot of fields out there, and the absolute worst thing is in the university fields that have dairy cattle.
Mm-hmm.
There's always some idiot hopping the barbed wire fence,
of course,
looking for shrooms.
Oh yeah.
Well,
because
season's about to start, dude.
They own those particular species of mushrooms only grow in cow patties left behind by dairy cattle.
Ah,
Yeah.
not my kind of mushrooms. No, we
No, these are not the ones you. These are not the ones you want on your pizza. These are the ones that the kids can
yes.
use for a substitute for tranquilizers, basically.
I think I would want those on my pizza then.
Oh, you did that. Those do go on your pizza. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, just remember, you can eat any mushroom. Just certain ones you can only eat once.
Right.
Uh-huh.
But all of them can sustain you for the rest of your life.
Yes.
If you're not worried about your life being very long.
Now lifespan is debatable.
Uh-huh. Terry Pratchett pointed that out. He said, and I do believe this was in the Discworld book, I'm not sure. He said, all mushrooms are edible once.
That's what Joe just said.
They just said, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Donna, remember I said I was on a new diet, and sometimes I cheat on it because it's difficult, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
Cheating is an ugly word. Alternative engineering.
Yeah. So I alternative engineered it again, and my body said, "Oh, did you know? Watch this." And so it backfired, and I'm back on that diet. I'm very strict on that diet now because it backfired in glorious fashion.
Waiting for a day, couldn't get off your throne.
That and other stuff. So yeah, my body is like, yeah, you're not doing that. You're not eating that shit. And literally it was just normal stuff. Like I had a waffle while I was at work, and I had mac and cheese that deviated from the diet of strictly carnivore. Not protein, carnivore, strictly meat right now.
Uh-huh.
So we're trying to clear out the system and reset, start again. Because a carnivore diet, you cannot live on your entire life. It doesn't work. But
yeah, I was going to say
you can for a while. So what we're trying to
amount
do
of protein can damage your kidneys.
Right. So all it is, right. So all it is a reset, and then I can add back in things and figure out what it is that's making my system go screw you. So adding back in those things are not good at all. No. So
yeah, it's
I gotta stick to this whether I like it or not for a long time yet, or what seems like a long time.
Penn Jillette did something similar. He didn't go carnivore. He went because someone was talking to him, and you just take one food and that's all you eat for 30 days, and then you start adding other stuff.
I've heard that.
in.
Yeah.
And then he also went insane, and at the same time had a dietitian design a 1,000 calorie diet for him, which is why he's now rail thin.
Yes.
And then went back to a healthy eating standard after he got to his goal weight.
Right. And see, for me, it's not goal weight. It's getting my body to not hurt. Because I've hurt for the last 30 years. And when a friend of mine that I met through the YouTube channels was saying that, and we weren't talking about this. She made a video about it, and I was like, "Are you shitting me? That's the same thing I'm going through." You go to the doctor and you say, "Okay, here's where I hurt." And the doctor says, "All right, we'll run some tests." Okay, well, we couldn't find anything, so you're gonna have to go to your gastroenterologist. Okay, so go to them. They don't find anything. Then you go back to another doctor, and then you go to another one. Well, now it's in your head. No, it's not.
There's a lot that gut health. Yeah, I figure the morbidly obese guy, knows a lot about nutrition. I know a lot about it. I just can't seem to get there because I've studied a bunch of diets.
Anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't. You have to have the follow through, the discipline. I don't have that.
Yeah. Well, I've studied a bunch of diets because I'm, biochem is a major thing for the human body. The medications you're taking in,
Mm-hmm.
the skin products that you're using, all
Oh,
this
heck yeah.
this all ties in. But it's gut health causes so much other crap to go wrong with our body because we're not paying attention to what foods react biochemically with our body. Now, mac and cheese might be fine if you do a homemade mac and cheese, but as soon as you touch the Kraft macaroni and cheese, your body goes to hell. And
Or
it could be because of
another brand. It could be just the ingredient they put in the cheese, or just the flour they use to make the elbow noodle.
It could be one flavoring.
It could be the flour they use in the noodles.
Yeah, it could be anything. So now it's like, okay, all right, we have pure meat, we have deer, we have fish. I can eat that stuff. It's fine. And there's no chemicals, there's no, we know where it came from. So it's one of those, okay, all right, I'll do this, but damn, is this hard.
Now, I would suggest trying to add in some type of yogurt for the probiotic health for it to make sure that your gut flora is the healthiest it can be, especially processing that much protein. Because even the keto diet is moderate protein, high fat, low carb.
Right.
But I mean, we all have to find.
Yeah, what works for us? Yeah.
Yeah.
But it just killed me that it was like, okay, so I've been doing this pretty diligently. I'm not strict on it, but pretty diligently I've been following this. And then the moment I don't, my body is like, oh, have we got some stuff for you?
A friend of mine had diverticulitis when he was in his 20s, I believe it was. And just bad where...
That's not minor.
He almost died from it.
Yeah.
And they actually... He refused to play paintball when I was big into paintball because a lot of his muscle and stuff from here died from it and was cut out. So he's got skin and then organs.
Wow.
So he's like, no, I'm not doing anything that runs the risk of doing anything there. So he went strictly vegetarian to avoid items like that. Although every once in a while, like Thanksgiving, he'll have some gravy, he'll have some turkey because it's Thanksgiving. He misses it, but he paid for it. He's king for, in his case, a week because of that. Yep. But if he goes to the wrong restaurant and they cook any of the vegetarian things that he's asking for anywhere in the vicinity of animal fat, about a half hour later, he's ruling from the throne.
Yep. There is a specific brand of hash browns I have found in one of the local grocery stores when my preferred brands were not available. And
isn't that funny how your body reacts to this shit?
It's not just my body, it's my taste buds. I can tell that this stuff was prepared in very, very cheap hamburger sort of fat.
Oh, wow.
As it was fried the first time.
Yeah.
Before being frozen and put in a package and sold. Yeah. The taste is there. I mean, it's like there's 75% soybean, these hamburgers, that they're getting the fat from. And the fat content is so low, but the soybeans do add an extra bit of
Texture.
chemistry in there, and I'm going, this does not taste good,
Right.
and I don't think my body's going to find it exactly too
Tolerable.
beneficial. And
Right.
then you wind up with the 2:30 to 3 p.m. mad dash for the restroom from half a mile away in the other side of the factory.
Yeah. So for right now, I'm gonna stick with the let's just, focus on meat for right now. Like I'm not gonna chance it now. I'm like, that was crazy.
Yeah,
Yep.
and you've got to be very careful and very gradual on adding the stuff back in
Yeah.
as you come
Oh
back
yeah,
in.
yeah. It's
Otherwise,
like a chemistry experiment. You got to know what you're
Yep.
adding in, how much of it, and you've got to wait and see what the results are
Oh
before you
yeah.
change the parameters again.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why when tonight, we had dinner and I went with it. I was like, whatever, it'll be fine. No, it was not fine. It's not fine.
yeah,
Like,
I
okay,
cut
now,
out.
and the thing that really kills me is I hurt. Like on a pain level of 1 to 10, 10's the worst. I get to about a 7 and I hurt. Like, this is ridiculous. Are you kidding me? I don't know. It's weird that food can do that to you.
I'm sorry, Michaela,
Well,
but because of my life, I mean, all of the things that I've done in my life, on a scale to 1 to 10, the normal pain level is about a 15.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that was when I was pregnant, and they were like, okay, well, your contractions are this. How's your pain level? I'm like, I couldn't tell you. I live in pain. Like I don't know what it's like not to
Exactly.
have it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then by the time that it was getting kind of intense, and it wasn't even like, well, I can't handle this. It was like, well, it's getting kind of intense. We've been doing this for hours at this point. I think I'd like some pain medication. And they were like, oh no, honey, you're too close to actually having the kid to have the pain medication. I was like, what are you talking about? And she's like, well, if we give it to you now, you might stop pushing. I'm like, oh, there's no chance in hell of that. No. And she was like, no, really, you are too far along to have medication. Like, okay. So yeah, I've had all 3 kids without medication.
But the funny thing about the food is nobody thinks about it because we're always taking in, we're always ingesting it. But the thing is, that's the main way most chemicals enter our body.
Oh,
and 90% of the issues we have with the diseases and the syndromes that we contract, some of it's genetic,
right.
but the lion's share is going to be okay because of your genetics. You've got this thing going on chemically in your body, and when you add this, there's a violent reaction.
Yeah.
And being diabetic and morbidly obese,
You
it's
said
an
diabetic and
interesting.
morbidly
Hey,
obese, so I had to show up.
But it's an interesting dance I've got to play with what, and actually now apparently I'm starting to become, well, actually apparently I'm not starting, I'm discovering that I've got a level of lactose intolerance in there as well.
I have been continually astonished at when I was a child and my diet included whatever the family hunted for or raised as meat animals or grew in the garden or foraged for in the case of watercress.
Okay.
Oh yeah. There was a natural spring that we could walk to where we could gather watercress. There were periwinkles in there, and I told my daddy, "No, I ain't eating no little bitty teeny tiny thing."
Well,
And but I mean, seriously, I seem to be so much healthier eating wild game and farm raised
Yeah. Well,
free
that's,
range chickens and
if you get into looking at the chemicals that are put in our food, it's absolutely ridiculous.
yeah.
The processing
that's
that
funny.
goes on is.
Oh, yeah.
I'm much less healthier now that my
Right.
diet comes from a grocery store instead of
The
hunter
farm.
gathering
Yeah.
and
Well,
farming.
What's funny is a lot of the food that the elite eat now, the rustic artisanal breads and stuff like that, that has the fewer processes and stuff like
Yeah.
that. That's the food that the serfs, the peasant level
The
used to
poor folk
eat back
used
in
to
the
eat
day.
Yeah.
And it's what they had to subsist on. And back then, it was the rich that ate the really refined white breads and stuff like that. But it's funny how that dynamics changed, and it's sad that these more nutritional, these foods that are less likely to induce any of these syndromes and things like that
Mm-hmm.
aren't affordable by
The people that
the poor
actually
folk,
originally
Yeah.
ate them.
Have you
the people
noticed?
that need it to keep the world moving.
Well, and
Uh-huh.
that's like the adage that it used to be. It went from the poor folk that had horses, then only the rich folk had horses, then the poor, and now the rich. What? How the hell?
It's
Well,
it's a
as you
lesson
have-
on it's a lesson on how civilizations develop and change
Right.
over time.
Right,
Yep.
because the horse isn't used for transportation now.
I
Yep.
think there's also a factor in. Have you noticed that anything that was
Yes, Joe Dog,
each-
I'm still awake.
Okay, I'm not here. I'm going to show Zach something. Just ignore me. I'm going to jump off camera.
okay? Anyway,
This is Joe Dog's
there's a
only
bizarre
fans.
phantom that has come and gone. But as we try to keep the
He's
stream,
got a
I'm
rocket
I'm just
Zach.
wondering how Joe Dog talked
Surprise.
Zach into looking at
No,
whatever it is he's going to show him right now.
I just know
He said
that
it was his
Joe's
pocket
never
rocket.
going to give him up, turn him down, or desert him. But
As
no,
long as he keeps his pants on.
everything, yeah, Michaela. Some people actually keep all their clothes on during a stream. Anyway, now
Why would you do that?
because it's been sitting
Do
since
it,
the
Rich,
blog
do it.
comment. The
Excuse me while I whip this out.
yeah, the poor people food and inexpensive food has all gone and become discovered and then made expensive. And I think it has nothing to do necessarily with the overall quality. It's about making sure that all the food is expensive. Because
Oh yeah, it's
it's about
exclusivity.
control. Pine nuts, oxtail used to be something you ask the butcher and they're like, sure, I'll throw that in because
Yeah.
it's free. And then now oxtail stew, oxtail for oxtail stew costs more than like rump roast. It's insane.
Well, it killed me when I found out, and I was still a kid when I found out. There are restaurants up in Chicago that will pay good money for wild game. And
Yes.
I grew up in poverty. We lived in a freaking trailer that, didn't keep the wind out or the rain out. And we had quail on our plates. We had
Oh yeah,
duck.
yeah.
We had duck, and people are like, oh, in Chicago, those are $100 plates. I'm like, really? I need to be selling
Yeah.
these ducks to the people up in Chicago then.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's what you do. But what I think especially now is going on is you're seeing another boost in the cost of things that's kind of unattached to anything. And I have a theory, and my theory is this, and see if this doesn't make sense. Since the 80s, the rat race has been something that has been culturally driven down our throats. I mean, before it was one thing, but after the 80s, it was really get out there and, shank your fellow worker and get up the corporate ladder and make that bank so that you can have the fancy toys. so that you have to keep making that bank, and it became this gestalt where you can't get out. It literally went from a rat race to a literal, like the wheel for the gerbil, because that cranks out money for rich people. And what happened, especially recently, is a whole bunch of folks realized I would rather be poor and comfortable than slave away doing whatever idiotic job, because we know the illusion of working towards the future simply isn't believed by a whole bunch of people.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say it's something the elder millennials have run into a lot, and on the idea that, well, you have to save your future. Why? The government's going to steal our Social Security anyway. If we try to do retirement, our company's going to steal our retirement. We've watched our grandparents and parents go through this. So why even hope for a future? We might as well just live relatively small. I mean, I remember when the big motivational joke was Chris Farley running in going, "What, do you want to live down in the van by the river?" And a whole bunch of us went, "Yes."
Yeah.
I won't even lie. That was my original plan. At 16, I got a job at an RV dealership. I was going to buy this ancient RV that was out back. And I have my job. I'm going to drive my RV, go to college from my RV, done.
I think that's my daughter's plan now.
That's my fascination with the British canal boat
Riverboat,
videos.
Yeah.
I mean, it's basically a trailer that floats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some of them are double wides.
Yeah.
My win the lottery fantasy when I was younger, and up until I got married with Misty, because I realized Misty wouldn't want that lifestyle, is buy 2 semis. One semi, the trailer is decked out for all the living space I need. The other one has a fix-it shop for any of the vehicles that are being towed on a trailer behind it, which was a sports car, a work car, a work-a-day car, pickup truck type, something you go and do stuff with, and then a decent motorcycle.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's nice. That's nice.
I like the people that now tiny homes are a thing. I'm like, you do realize you can get more space for less money if you just go buy an RV, right?
Yep.
It's the same thing.
Except it's mobile and you got to buy gas.
Yeah.
The difference between a tiny home and a trailer is so funny, because my first home of my own, away from was a semi-acquired single wide. And had I had my druthers and plans worked out right, I was going to buy some property, move my single wide to that property, and then be done. Because, it doesn't take much to fix up when something goes wrong on a single wide, or a double wide or whatever, and live small. Now, I live in a house that needs a whole lot of work, but it feels like a mansion when I look at my plans,
Yeah.
And fortunately, I have paid it off. It is mine.
Yeah.
Cool. Life's goal.
Yeah. Exactly. Now, I may have to remortgage the dang thing just to fix it enough to live here, for the extended period.
Right.
But that's it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I think people are getting tired of being told, "Well, don't you want this?" It's like, we can't afford it.
Right.
So why worry about it?
But here's the other
really
bit of that is not necessarily that you can't afford it, but if you do afford it, then you miss out on things that you wanted also.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, if I compromise and I have a smaller house, maybe not keep up with the Joneses, I could take another vacation. I could buy that car I wanted, but buy it outright, not make payments on it.
Yeah,
or
that's frowned upon.
I could work at a job that it's
that I
like
don't hate.
my wife has a master's in library science, right? Information technology and library science. It's got a whole gobbledygook. She could be making probably throw $100,000 fairly easy a year
Yeah.
on top of what she makes right now. I mean, easy. If we were willing to live in an urban environment and have her be an absolute miserable administrator,
Yeah.
but she wanted to
Yeah.
be a librarian to library. You know,
Yeah.
she wanted to
Exactly.
build
Exactly.
The novelty.
and well, that was her dream. She wanted to help people learn to read, and there's this problem with our whole nation has been set up where if you love, you can either love something or get paid running it, but you can't run it
Do
and
both.
do what you love
Yeah.
in the traditional format, and that just
Well, it throws people off the rat race, as you call it, because
Yeah.
then they're doing something they love and they're making enough of a living at it where they're comfortable.
So that ought to be illegal, damn it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
Um,
that's the whole idea of what's your idea of success. Mine
Right.
used to be I needed a mansion. I needed the white picket fence. I needed, 2 fabulous cars in the driveway, at least bare minimum. But then you get to the point where you're like, okay, we're gaining and we're getting and we're really close to that ideal. And then you go, I don't really think I want that anymore.
Right.
And then you go, if I give up that, then I can get these things or this thing, or I can be
Or
in this
just
place.
peace of mind.
Right. That's the thing. Like, so if I give up the 6-figure income, I can then stay at home and be where I want to be when I want to be there with the people that I want to be with.
mhm.
Now it gets more complicated when you have, something like my situation where I have a special needs child,
Right.
and
And it
we've
shouldn't
not been
be.
able to get the
It shouldn't
resources.
be.
Yeah. It
But,
absolutely shouldn't be.
That's well, why do you try to charge? I have so many people. You could do art, yes. You'd like to do it for free, yes. I love doing free art for people. Well, why do you charge? Well, you see, I got to eat, and my kid has to eat.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. I have the same bills you do, buddy.
And
Exactly. Exactly. And it seems like the ideal of being successful has changed over the
Yeah.
decades.
Yeah, it really does.
And now you have to be in order to be considered successful, you have to be a member of management. You can't be in a skilled profession like
Right.
oh no,
like
oh no.
Rich's
I mean,
dad
now,
doing Hybeck stuff, or
Yeah.
or me just doing my little bit at the factory, or my dad being a machinist, or
Right.
whatever, or farmers or whatever. They're no longer considered
The upper echelon.
successful
Yeah.
because they're not members of some bureaucracy.
Right. Well, and that's Andy makes a damn good living where he works. He has damn good insurance. He has provided a really good life for us. But to some people, he's not successful because he doesn't have, the elite job with the
Exactly.
elite people.
Exactly.
And it's like, okay, but who said that they're elite? Who
Well,
They
said
do.
they're supposed to make these rules?
They do. That's the problem.
yes.
Yeah.
Well, no. I have the real question: who, in the to borrow a phrase, in the blood-soaked frosted hell, are they, and
Yeah.
why do they matter so bloody much?
Right.
We realistically could all live very independent lives. We have the technological systems in place, but there are huge amounts of government interference and corporate leverage to keep us connected to things that feed on us.
Oh, yeah.
Things like the grid. Well, you have to be on the grid. How could you survive if you're not on the grid? By
quite
having my
easily
own.
if I work my ass off. Yeah,
The same way my ancestors did years ago.
exactly.
Exactly. And that's why, I find it funny. Oh, for the environment, we have to ban wood fires because, stuff.
Yeah, I love that one. I'm like, oh,
But,
really?
the coal plants running the electricity that are, 150 years old, basically. I mean, they slap computers on them, but they haven't changed all that much.
Mm.
No, that's fine.
Guess that means I should quit wood burning.
Actually, let's see. How far back was 1800?
Okay. That's 120
20 years.
1800?
Yeah, well, 1900s.
Yeah.
You go
Yeah.
20. You go 23 to 1900s, and then you go another 100 to 18. So 123 years. I mean,
No.
since the
And
turn of the century.
Yeah.
basically, having grown up in East Tennessee in the first half of my childhood, I was able to see how people could get by on being self-sufficient and just working a day job to get extra.
Get extra to have cash to pay your taxes because the government wants their cash.
Well, yeah, because that was basically the only reason was to pay the damn taxes. Otherwise, what do you need government for? I mean, they don't.
Right.
They only come around here to interfere and keep you from being able to be successful because they're not getting their cut, and they're really pissed off about not getting their cut. Revenuers. I
have this crazy idea that the government was supposed to be there to be kind of like a nationwide co-op, where everybody pooled their money so we all have better services.
Right.
I know that's insane.
I know,
but,
right?
I mean, that's
but that was the original concept.
And I mean, that's why I don't mind paying taxes and driving on nice roads.
Yes.
I don't mind, having services. I just don't understand why, the money seems to go everywhere but to the people. It's like the people want health care and not have to lose their homes for it. But then the rich people couldn't swindle the poor people out of their property. So they have to have them lose their homes to illness.
Well,
and it's like, it's so...
There comes a time when you have to consider why the bureaucrats think that somehow they are royalty.
Because as long as they can tell people they are and keep the system where you have to say, yes, sir, and get back to work and not look boss man in the mouth, especially if they can get us working for the company store, which is what they're trying, our boy Elon wants to do in certain things, a few other people.
Yeah, he's not alone.
Jeff Bezos is basically the biggest company store ever. And heck, I work for him. My books are out through there because they were the best deal I could do at the time. And we got to do what we got to do, but I don't see any change in the.
It comes down to what it's always come down to.
Yeah.
They don't want the masses to where they're not
compliant
and subservient to them.
Subservient, I think, is what he was looking
absolutely.
for.
Yeah.
Because if you get to where you don't have to have them to meet your needs.
Yeah, then they
to
lose
pay,
their
to pay your bills and all that.
Yeah.
when they've lost control. Everything is a matter of
Yeah, if
power
and
and trying to
Yep.
control as
Yeah.
much.
when they are no longer in control, when they are no longer nature's noblemen, when they are no longer automatic royalty,
Right. Well, and
then
it's the
you
same.
are a danger to their lives.
Oh hell yeah! And
Okay,
it's the same. You could break it down for a job.
Yeah.
If your management figures out that you don't need your job, you're just there for the paycheck, or you're working because you enjoy it. That's a whole nother ball game. Most people work because they have to.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, again,
And
it's
so your
I'm very
management
glad.
comes to the person that
I'm very
has to
glad
work.
you brought that up.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, so management comes to the person that has to work, and they say, "Look, we need you to work Saturdays and Sundays and overtime. No excuses. We need you here. If you're not here, you'll get fired." That person will work. They don't like it, but they will because they need the money. The
Yeah.
person working there to get like the extra money, or just because they want to, they feel fulfilled by that job, they enjoy that job. They're not likely to say, "Okay, well, yeah, I'll spend my entire life here." They're more likely to say, "Let me go find employment elsewhere that better fits my needs."
We used to call it
I have actually
finding your
run into
bliss.
that.
Yeah, yeah, it absolutely
Yeah,
is.
find your bliss. Yeah.
I'm close enough to retirement to where
They have
if
like a few more days.
11 months,
Oh, yeah, a few more days.
I can't wait for that party.
and I'll look if for some reason they told me get the fuck out tomorrow, I've already got everything I need.
Yeah,
I'm just looking for a little bit more to add to the pile. That's
right,
it.
right.
I'm trying to go on my timeline. If they
Mhm.
want to usurp that timeline, it's not going to hurt me at all.
Right,
I've
right.
already got everything set aside. I've been planning this for decades,
And
and
how
they don't.
powerful does that make you at work?
Oh, they cannot stand it. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they cannot stand it because I am not subservient anymore.
Right, right. Well, and someone who, let's say you've got,
And
you're seeking to
it's not
tell,
everybody. It's
no,
only a few selected bureaucrats
right, right.
within the company structure that go, you you
What do you mean you
you
won't work
you
Saturdays and Sundays and
you
overtime?
dare to be independently wealthy in spite of us?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I put in
Sorry.
enough time. Sorry. Um,
Yeah, like
I'm
catch
here.
up, mustard. Come on.
I'm an independent contractor. I do what I've been told, what I have been hired to do, and I'm not going to do the
Yeah.
step and
Any more
fetch
than
it or
that?
the jump
Yeah.
through hoops.
Right,
I'm here to do this, and I'm not going to walk around and look for stuff to do
right.
when my job is just this is not on the schedule today. I need to find
Right.
something to appear to be uh,
Working.
constructive.
Yep, yep. Well, I
Uh,
am nodding off as we speak, so I'm gonna head to bed.
Have a good one, Michaela.
Have a good
best
night,
offer I've
Michaela.
had all day.
Night, sweetie.
All right,
Sleep
thanks.
well.
Good night, Michaela.
Good night, kiddo.
You know,
Yeah, they piss me off so much because there's a double standard.
Mm-hmm.
The new kids that they've hired won't do shit. So they get on to me
Mm-hmm.
to be more productive than they pay me to be in order to make up the difference. And I'm going, that ain't gonna happen. I do what I'm supposed to do when I'm supposed to do it. And if there's not something that I'm supposed to do right then, I'm going to sit.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't do anything about it because I'm done. I should have retired 10 years ago, but I'm still here. deal
And
with.
see, a part of me thinks that what a horrible tragedy that is.
Well, yeah,
Because
they didn't even get their money's worth out of me until I got this one particular job. I mean,
well,
I
no,
was hired because I could count to 4 8 times in a row without making a mistake, without having to take my shoes off.
see,
Basically, yeah.
my tragedy that I'm seeing has nothing to do with their game, because the finances on their view I see as so irrelevant to humanity. And I think of what you've done artistically as an author and as a promoter of good. And I think of it as, how dare these small minded little uh, wage gremlins. Wow, I'm tired, so honestly, is coming out. Uh,
I
how
like the
dare
phrase wage
they
gremlins.
um, prattle in the face of someone who has dreamed such dreams as you and has created such things as you? And this is my problem, because I learned, I had truly winners of employment in some cases, and I had to promise my wife that I wouldn't quit a job again without talking to her first and thinking about it. Because unfortunately, I think I'm one of the last of the proud men. I think there's a dying breed because they tried to kill it. It's like, whatever you say, I have to look myself in the mirror, and it gets me in trouble, and it costs me profit. I never win for it, but it's the right thing anyway. And they
Yeah.
don't know what to do with people who are afraid to lose, who aren't afraid to lose, but walk away. And I think of all that time you've had to waste sitting in that little kind of factory office thing, where you could have been writing or talking to folks or telling stories, hell, planting a tree. And it's just, I think of how many millions of people. It's sort of like when you see somebody, you end up at a dive bar, and you see the old guy who's almost done doing the whole uh, music gig scene, and they've done it their whole lives and they never made it. And you feel the tragedy because they're freaking geniuses. I don't know if you've had the privilege of bumping into that fella. I imagine you have.
Actually, yes, on many occasions. And it not only musicians, but people in other artistic pursuits as well, that just somehow didn't get the breaks they needed to get ahead in the organized success stories. They're just awesome. Everybody knows they're awesome, but they're not right on up there with the people they should be, because they chose to be working rather than performing.
Yeah. And
There is a difference.
survival is necessary for it, but
It's a very weird difference, but there is a difference. But no, I sincerely, I think that
is someone asleep? It sounds like someone is snoring faintly into the mic. Everybody awake?
no,
No,
we're all, yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I've just learned, because right now I'm multitasking because I have time, so I'm drawing just to keep in form and having this lovely chat with you guys. I'm like, wait a second. I've learned to check on the show, especially to see
Well,
Yeah,
if anyone's awake. You know,
I'm scribbling a map while I'm calculating travel
What
times.
what you
that
were
well,
probably hearing was me brushing some clear coat onto this with a flat
that's
that's
brush.
entirely possible.
that is entirely possible. Oh, you guys want to hear a little bit of surprising news? At
Sure.
some point tonight, Luke Stone launched the Fund My Comics site officially as a soft
Oh,
launch, and there are campaigns on it right now.
well,
And
good for him.
I including apparently my game, and I didn't know about it till somebody tagged me saying, "Hey, here you go." Like, well, that's good to know. So that's
Yeah.
going on. It's a very interesting evening.
I have
And
had some really weird reactions from various members of management when they find out that I'm not just uh,
a wage
the
slave?
that they expected me to be.
Yeah.
And I go, yeah, well, I've got some books out, and I run this creative writing website and put out a magazine every month, and I've got albums on out, and they go, why are you working here? And I go, this pays the bills. That lets me do everything else. I mean, it's not like y'all are important or anything. And that really rankles, because the idea that they're not nature's noblemen is anathema
Oh
to
yeah.
their point of view.
Well, you got to figure, how sad a person must what they be in life when the only joys they really have are lording over their little fiefdom as a whatever shift coordinator or line boss or whatever, that they can
Oh,
boss some folks around and then
oh,
go.
it goes all the way up to the CEO.
Oh, I know it goes up to the CEO. Our entire
I mean, they have no ability to do anything but pinch pennies,
yeah.
and the pennies are not even really worth counting.
Nope.
Apparently, the Fund My Comics site and my internet connection decided to drop me out of StreamYard.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Really?
That happens occasionally. There are certain websites that are
Little too processor intensive. So I'll
yeah,
look at that
yeah,
later.
Sorry about that.
definitely.
Oh,
I
not your
haven't
fault.
even looked at the new version myself. I had a conversation with Luke. It's like, yeah, we're soft launching it right now. There are a few campaigns up, and we're going to try to get some exclusives. Like, oh, good for you. I hope it goes well. Just like, okay, I'm numb with it because I've been trying to get my game out there and the stuff I did for him for better part of 3 years.
Mm.
And all of a sudden stuff is moving, and it's like, I guess I should be excited, but I've been writing this for 3 years. So it's sort of a, okay, let's see what's going to happen next.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that makes any sense.
I have
But
a question for you, Nick.
sure.
Do you know how much Luke is trying to get for funding for the hybrids on Fund My Comic?
No, I do not.
Okay, because he might want to look at what he put for a goal. You might want to just
What
throw
did
this out to him.
what did he put up there?
Well, so far there's been $25 pledged, and that puts him at 25% funded.
Oh yeah, he's still at the. That's why it's a soft launch. They're
Ah,
Oh, okay. He's not looking for everything. He's looking for
he
basically, is there a
It's
market?
it's a pilot.
well, it's making sure that the system still works. Oops,
Like I
Okay.
that's
said,
wrong.
it's a pilot.
yeah.
And once it comes out, there'll be a bigger deal. But I also know that the audience of this program is pretty trustworthy, so I can
Oh,
sit and go, No, I don't
I'll
want
be
to.
right back.
Of course. But it will be interesting to see what comes of it. I thought I'd let you guys know something interesting is going on. Because right now, I also found out that Facebook has basically uh, throttled me to the point where unless you go directly to my page regularly, most of my posts aren't getting shown to most people.
Oh yeah, I have that happen with most of my friends.
Mo-
I won't see them forever, and I'll actually just go to their page, see what they've been up to, and I'll actually get them back for a couple months. Otherwise, it's ads and groups.
Yeah, it's if they think you're advertising on Facebook and you're not paying for advertising on Facebook, you shouldn't be able to get your message out at all. And because of my StreamYard things, like my parents went, so I thought I saw something that you're doing some kind of game. I'm like, I've been promoting it for 3 years. I don't understand why it's not more known. And it's just I'm fighting the algorithm. And I find it fascinating, kind of, that there we go. We'll do that. Oops. That I can think I'm doing one way, and I look at the numbers, and it's like, good lord. So I think it's making me just a little cranky on the subject because it just doesn't seem fair or right. But I'm not one to whine about things, but I'm going to say, wow, that's going on? Okay. That's definitely a thing.
Did manage to get another piece done here.
Oh, good. I'm glad, Joe. And we have our on other good news. We
that
have
is
our
pretty.
tables paid for. Oh, what? Oh, I'm sorry. I have you guys shrunk small so I can draw because I'm multitasking. Oh, that's gorgeous.
That's neat.
And
right,
the
Joe.
saying actually works out. A sage is not without fault. Because
Yes.
when I transferred it on there, it's kind of cockeyed.
It fits the it fits the theme. I dig it. So let's. Oops, that doesn't go there. Also had a lovely, rousing discussion with a pro AI art individual. Somebody like in other fields. I respect them. You know what I mean?
Mm,
But people are using AI and then claiming to be the artists of the given picture.
yeah.
Oh, that's the
And
same
see,
difference between me claiming I was a musician instead of a composer.
exactly. And I was trying to explain that it's not that I don't that the AI art isn't impressive. My problems are with the three-phase, the ethics of it. The art has been sourced, most of it, unethically. The use
And
of it. Yes.
that's where, if it's ethically sourced, if you talk to
Yeah.
50 different people and say, okay, your art's going to be in this and it only sources in that bubble, then I am behind AI art. But most people are being jackwagons and not doing that shit, and they're doing the scrubs.
Exactly. But what really scares me about AI art is that it's sort of like why I will never like solely digital music. If you don't have, if you get rid of live venues and there are no live venues left, everything can be polished and cleaned, and everything can sound and say what a given company or corporation wants it to say, and only that. And if you're using AI art through that, they can simply say, well, this term won't be factored in or won't bring it up. It could be as simple as, okay, let's say Coke wants to do a big promotion, like Coca-Cola, all they would have to, and I'm not bashing on Coca-Cola, this is merely hypothetical. They could pay whoever is running the iArt program to make sure that the colors red and white are more prominently used unless excluded, because red and white associate with Coke, among other things. Because we've been so ingrained to brand identity.
Yeah.
And it would be so relatively easy to set something up like that. It's why, the digital music kind of, and that not to be confused with digitally recorded and shared, but auto tune has to be watched so carefully.
Yeah. There are a couple of pieces I could do. There's some Japanese software that would provide artificial voices for things
yes.
that I could write lyrics to. And I'm going, it would be so cool to have this set of lyrics that I wrote for this particular piece of music happen without having to actually find a vocalist who I could afford to hire to do this. And then I'm going, well, part of me thinks that's totally unfair not to hire a vocalist. And part of me thinks it's totally unfair that I could use a program to do this and not have to afford a vocalist.
Right.
If you can see the dichotomy of that. I mean,
yeah.
It would be
absolutely
wonderful to have the stuff out there that actually has vocals, but it would, using the computer vocalist instead of a person seems like cheating to my way of mind.
And it's fun because I've been looking at this same kind of the debate, the response the gentleman made was it was an intelligent seeming response, was that it was the same as digital art in that you're not there's a lot of light tricks and things you can do that you wouldn't have that you can't do with traditional art, and it makes it a lot easier. So what's the difference? And I said, well, I picked the lines, and also importantly, anything I do digitally. Like right now, I'm drawing an incredibly busty green-haired elf girl. Not really shocking for my art brand. You know what I mean? It's nearly 3 a.m. It makes sense. I could do this in alcohol markers fairly easy with little real issue. So it's because Saga was like, yeah, I've used CAD for years, but I learned mechanical drafting long before that.
Yeah.
And if the computer were ever to go away, you give me my triangles and a straight edge. Heaven help me if I have a proper drafting desk, and I can draft up just about anything I would need.
Mm-hmm.
So I have the skills. It just makes it easier.
Yeah, exactly. And if there's something that is necessary for you to hire independent contractors,
yeah,
to do it live,
right?
But you can do it using programs instead of independent contractors. And there's a lot that you can do that is just perfectly fine, and then there's this this weird line. It's almost a tightrope where you're dancing between doing it with what you got and what you can find versus not being able to afford to do it with someone who is a live contractor, an actual person who is absolutely wonderful and deserves to be paid, but you can approximate that with the program. Where do you fall off the tightrope? Is a big problem, because ethically, and some people do not worry about the ethically. Where's the point where it's the right thing to do versus the expedient thing to do? And when using the expedient, how much of a detriment is that to the integrity of what you are trying to achieve?
And see, I look at that sort of thing under the lens of if it is a resource and not the end product, that's one thing. So using the music analogy, you wanted a singer, right, for a project. Running a digital singing program and trying different ranges to figure out the kind of singer you would want preferably. And then going, okay, this really does sound better sung by somebody with a higher tone than a lower tone.
Yep.
And as visual sampling, I can see. It's like if an artist uses AI to try to figure out, okay, I want to draw a castle with this and this, but they only use it as a reference, and then they draw it their own way, adjusting it as need be. It's no different than doing a Google search to me. So, and honestly, what?
One thing we do at the firm for some of our training videos is they've got the AI voices so that it will actually speak and stuff like that, so that we can figure out timing. So until they get us the final actual script of what they want us to actually say, we just robo-voice the entire damn thing, because there's no sense in recording 6 hours of audio that ends up, because with where we were recorded at the firm, we were right there by an entry door. And actually, this right here is the microphone that we used. This is a very good, very sensitive microphone. When people badge into that door, that beep was recorded. Them opening the door, them slamming the door was recorded. We would literally have to either wait for really early in the morning before anyone gets in, or go to late in the evening after everybody's left to do our recordings, to make sure we didn't have so much door slamming and people laughing as they're going out to lunch, but we needed the managers or the CIO or whatever to see what the product was going to look like. So we would just type it in and have the robo voice perform. So it's perfect for a benchmark, for a proof of concept. But for it to be your end result, little sketch. No pun intended.
Oh, no. Perfect pun intended. It makes sense. And that's the point. If it's a tool. And the other thing is, people think I'm like, oh, you hate AI art. I don't. Believe it or not, I don't hate AI art. And I have less, the irony is, I have less issue with the AI as I do the people who are used. It's like the AI is doing what it's programmed to do until it reaches sentience.
You don't hate steak. You hate the process that tortures the steak. Remember the cow before it becomes steak.
That's a good way of looking at it. It's I don't hate steak.
Ethically done, it's beautiful. Non-ethically done, it's a horror show.
Right.
Yeah.
What I worry, I know how to take the steak analogy. What I worry about is the companies putting the growth hormones in the steak, and I worry about the guys who are in the kitchen who are responsible for keeping the steak up to code, but may not be, and what they may be putting in the steak to further something else that has nothing to do with it. It'd be like this.
Basically, what you're saying is, it's the difference between actual steak and steak flavored tofu.
You know what? No, what it is if somebody gets one of those food 3D printers, right? You guys have seen these, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they print off a steak and hand it to me. They punch in, I want a steak, 24 ounce.
Porterhouse.
And porterhouse, good.
Good name and cut.
And they print it out, and it automatically conveyors into an oven and spits out. Don't call yourself a chef. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. You're a programmer.
Yeah. Cooking a TV dinner doesn't make you a chef. Especially if it's if it's already preset. Like, that's just because you
Kavala.
Just because you picked a Salisbury steak instead of the macaroni and cheese does not make you a chef.
Misty and I had several big fights when we got married because, back then she was like, I will not be domesticated. Yet she's like, here, let me put your feet up. Let me do like, the fuck. You're domesticated. You just don't know it. But one of the big things is she refused to cook anything if it didn't come in a box or if it couldn't just be, I used to refer to how she used to cook as reheating.
Yes.
She would brown meat, throw in some milk. Now, if she doctored the hamburger helper up a little bit, that would be cooking. Frozen pizza, it's not cooking. You're just reheating and reconstituting. And, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that versus my creating my spaghetti sauce damn near from scratch. I've got the tomato sauce. I've got the tomato paste. I've got some Dijon mustard. I've got a little bit of wine. I've got, a bunch of spices, versus buying a can of Prego.
Yeah.
I run into that myself. Donna,
now she cooks and she cooks well, but
you remember the chili cook-off.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all are making me hungry.
And John and I both did everything from scratch. It's not like we opened a can of whatever and just heated it up again. We actually grew stuff or took things and chopped them up and did the thing. And John excels in growing extraordinarily hot peppers, so naturally his chili was extraordinarily hot. And I can't stand extraordinarily hot, so I used mild stuff that either I knew was mild when I bought it at the store and chopped it up, or I grew it myself and knew it was mild and chopped it up. And
Yeah.
there's a big difference between going, okay, here's an empty crock pot, let's see what we can do with this, and going, oh, here's a can, let's microwave whatever comes out of it.
I had a cookbook that was purchased for me very early in my marriage. Actually, it may not. That might have been when I first moved out. And honest to God, I loved the dang thing because it was so funny. It was a board book, so like a little kid's book, and it was called "A Man, a Can, and a Microwave." And when you opened it up, it had pictures of the packages. You know,
Hey, for a certain level of skill, that was an excellent resource.
oh no, and I'm not bashing. I will say I
Yeah, man,
respect. I,
it's a good springing off point to learning how to manipulate what you would buy in a can to make it more acceptable when it is plated
right.
than just the standard, I'm going to nuke this and you're going to be happy.
Well, I'm gonna nuke this. This will provide fuel ish to keep me going.
Hey, I
Um,
have done that many a decade in my life in between
Rich,
in between wives. Um,
It's been 35 years and I'm still not domesticated.
Donna, and I
Uh,
say this with all the love in the world. You are one of the most feral people I've had the privilege of knowing, and Trelena Bachman is one of my best friends in the whole world, if not just straight family. Well, straight being selective. Uh,
um, can I interject?
I had somebody call my chili. That's not chili. That's hamburger soup. Like whatever the hell.
That
That's what I cook.
my chili is
There
pretty
is
much
a
the same
big
thing.
difference between being domesticated and being tamed. And
I'm
you,
not.
my dear, have never been tamed.
But the thing is,
I'm
Misty
not a
grew up in
cook.
such a Baptist family that she was taught to cater to the man, and I keep trying to break her of that. I'm like, I can get that
That is
myself.
a sadly that is a tradition, and it still happens. Um,
But sorry, Don, I didn't mean to talk over you.
That's okay. I just I was never that good at cooking, and I point to what happened when I was having chemistry one in college. Went to we did the first 2 weeks of books, then we did the lab work.
mhm.
I was in the lab one day, one day, followed instructions perfectly. And it wasn't that big an explosion, but my professor asked me to take geology instead of chemistry.
it's because it's harder to get rocks to explode. Yeah.
No,
Now,
no,
now,
no.
chili is not supposed to explode until after Joe Dog eats it.
Duh.
I take hamburger, V8 juice, can of
Okay.
diced tomatoes and chili peppers. They're those little green
The
chilies.
Rotel
Yeah, yeah.
thing, yeah.
Yeah, Rotel, chili powder. That's it. No onions, diced onions. Gotta have
No,
diced onions.
but you don't have any beans in your chili.
No,
Okay. I
That
just
nope.
have to ask.
that is a tradition.
Yeah.
It is a perfectly valid recipe.
My vegetable
Um,
beef soup and my chili differ slightly on the spices I put in, and one has mixed vegetables, the other has beans.
Now I
See,
will chicken, or pork cube steak,
Mm-hmm.
and I have a gravy that'll go with it.
Sounds
Carl
good.
thinks it's the most wonderful gravy he's ever had. It's cream of mushroom soup with a couple of secret ingredients.
Then that's still cooking.
That's perfectly valid.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. Okay,
You are
we've
transforming the work.
I will.
we've gone 2 hours.
It
Doesn't mean we had to go home, but I do need to play the bedtime story, and we can come back to this because
We don't want Uncle Carl to get upset.
So go good, guys.
Go good, guys. and okay, before we end the program for the
viewers of this
recorded
know
program
what
for
I'm
the
about
night.
to confess what my culinary terror is. What I've unleashed on my wife, what you forbidden to this day. Well, you all.
Well, spit it out.
I have the tours. That's what I do. No, you guys offline. Dad, it's time to pull the plug, so pull the plug.
All right, and please, no one go away. We're just going to end the recording.
Yep.
And for those of you that are going to watch this on the replay, and there are at least 4 of you, thank you very much. And we appreciate everything you do and your fandom. And let's just
like, share, subscribe, put this around.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting that because I'm not interested in being monetized. Like, share, subscribe, comment, and do please live your life your way and not the way you've been told. That pisses everybody off that thinks they're in charge. Good night,
Get revenge
everybody.
by living well.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We'll see you Thursday night. And until then,
Yep.
Take care.
Transmission overload. System will shut down. shut down. System will shut down. System will shut down.
What? You're still here? It's 3 o'clock in the morning.